Welcome back to How to Do Skateboarding Tricks. Today, I'm going to teach you guys how to kickflip. So the kickflip is probably the coolest looking beginner trick. When you first start skateboarding, everybody wants to learn how to kickflip, but it's also one of the harder tricks to learn besides the ollie. If you don't know how to ollie yet, there is no point in you watching this video. You're not going to be able to learn how to kickflip if you can't ollie. So if you cannot do that, I do have a how to ollie in 3 easy steps video. There's a link to that video in the description of this one, so go watch that one before this. But if you can ollie already and you are comfortable riding your skateboard and you're snapping ollies pretty high, it is time for you to learn how to kickflip. And the first step to learning how to kickflip is knowing where to put your feet. For a kickflip, your back foot is going to be in the same spot generally as your ollie, right on the edge of the tail. But your front foot changes just a little bit this time. Instead of your front foot being directly in the middle of the skateboard, parallel, you actually want your heel hanging off of the skateboard a bit more, and you want your foot on more of a 45-degree angle. And I mean, you do technically want it higher up on the skateboard. Like when I kickflip, personally, my feet are on the board like this. So I'm like right below the bottom 2 bolts. Sometimes I cover one of them, sometimes I cover both of them, but my foot is like up there and my back foot is just right on the edge of the tail, but straight over it. And my body weight is directly over the middle of the skateboard. That's how I set up for a kickflip. But truth be told, foot placement on kickflips really doesn't matter all that much because everybody does kickflips differently. Once you do learn how to do a kickflip, you're gonna find out where your front foot is comfortable for you to flick the board. And a lot of people put their front foot in different places. I've seen people put their front foot like all the way up here. I've seen people put it there. I've seen people put it here. I've seen people kickflip all the way up here, like next to the nose. But at first, I do think it's easier if, especially if you're smaller in size, it's easier if you bring that front foot down towards the middle just a little bit more and hang your heel off of the board a little bit more. I mean, yes, in the long run, this is not gonna be like a proper technique on a kickflip because it's probably gonna cause your kickflips to rocket a little bit, but keeping your foot down lower towards the middle of the board at first is going to allow you to get a harder flick, and it's going to allow the board to flip faster, so it'll get you in the habit of watching the kickflip underneath of you and putting your feet back on it. Once you do have a comfortable like foot position for the kickflip though, the next thing is to start your ollie. So snap your tail down to the ground, and now you're going to be sliding your front foot up the board as you would for an ollie. But this time when you get to the nose, instead of dragging it up to the nose and bringing the board up to your chest, you're going to be flicking your toes off the side of the board, almost like right there. So a lot of people will think like, oh, let me just kick it off to the side like this way. You really want to avoid kicking it to the side. Instead, you want to kickflip like straight up and through the skateboard deck, just like that. And that's going to allow your board to flip. It's going to allow your kickflip to tweak. It's going to make your kickflips look better. And it's also going to allow you to land more directly on top of your skateboard. Once your board does start flipping though, after that flick, I think that the hardest part to the kickflip is timing the landing. You are going to be watching that board underneath of you. And when you do see grip tape again, you got to stick both of your feet back on it and slam it back down to the ground. That's the only way you're gonna land it, is if you jump back on the board after it flips. But there are many different common complaints when people are learning how to kickflip, and I think the most common complaint is, well, I'm kickflipping and the board's flipping, but it keeps landing in front of me or in back of me. And this is something that is a pretty easy fix actually. If your skateboard is flipping and it's landing on the ground, but let's say maybe it's landing in front of you just like this, your front foot's on the board but your back foot's not. If this is happening to you, your fix is before you pop your ollie or your kickflip, all you need to do is drop your front shoulder down a little bit. Just drop the shoulder down and then do your kickflip. This is going to keep your board more underneath of you instead of having it fly out in front of you. And just the opposite, if you are kick flipping and say you're landing with your back foot on the board like this and your front foot's in front, well, that means that you're leaning too far forward before your kick flip. Now you're gonna wanna not lean back, but be more centered on top of the skateboard when you flip your kick flip. I think another common complaint would be landing primo. Unfortunately, that is like part of the learning experience. Landing primo sucks. I think a good way to avoid that is focus on your flick. Sometimes if you flick your kick flip a little bit harder, a little bit faster with your front foot, that's gonna help the board fully rotate around and stay under you. Yeah, I mean, besides that, the only thing that's holding you back from doing kickflips now is practicing it. It is a hard trick to get down, but the general idea is what we just talked about. You're gonna start your ollie, pop the tail down, slide your front foot up, and flick through the nose. Go straight through that nose. Flick off to the side. Make sure you watch your board flip under you. When you see grip tape again, put both feet back on top, smack it down to the ground and absorb that landing. I will say, like, when I was learning how to kickflip, it probably took me like 6 or 7 months to learn how to kickflip. So just be patient and make sure that you guys practice this one a lot. And let me know if it worked. Let me know if you guys are landing kickflips now. I hope you are. Have fun.